Good morning as folks are joining. Good to see folks. We'll give it a minute. Good morning as folks are joining us. And Tracy, hello, I see you're here.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. If folks saw the email for this week, you saw that let me just let folks in from the waiting room. I can put it in the chat too. Today we're going to hear from Tracy Skelly. And then tomorrow, we're going to hear about the parity compensation for New York's early childhood educators, recognition and respect for a vital profession. That was a report out of New York. And then on Wednesday, we're going to hear from Friends Center for Children, Alex Schivoni, who is going to talk about their initiative around their teacher housing initiative in New Haven, Connecticut. They were finalists in the Zantz Innovation oh my gosh. The Zantz Innovation, it was a competition. I can't remember the right word. And then Thursday, we're going to hear from Danielle Ewan, who's going to give us kind of an up-to-the-minute update on Congress and the finishing this congressional administration and then thinking about as the new Trump administration comes in January. So another exciting week here on the 9:30 call. And so Tracy, welcome to the 9:30 call. Our first question that we ask everybody is for you to tell us a little bit more about you and how you came to your current role, and then we would love to hear more about your work.
Sorry about that. Yes, I am pulling up my presentation. Is it okay if hi everybody.
Good
Sorry.
morning. Yes, let me just make sure I have
Morning.
the screen share option on. Great. We know this is the hardest part of the call, getting the slides, getting it.
Yes. So let me play it from the current slide, and then if it won't show in slideshow, I will I'll take it out of slideshow
Okay.
um and we'll go from there.
Great.
So, okay. Let's see. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah, looks great.
Okay, fantastic. Good morning, everyone. I am Tracy Skelly. I'm the founder and CEO of the Little Cocoa Bean Company. Um, let's see. Am I able to move forward? Okay. Let's see. Let's do this. Okay, so it's me. I am, as I say in this deck, a typical millennial, hardworking, health conscious, slightly anxious. I love a chic cafe where I can meet with friends, work remotely, and order a good salad and latte. By way of background, I am a trained educator, started my career in education. Started in the classroom, but then moved on to operations and really felt strongly that when you have great teachers, the things that typically hold them back in schools are all of it's the ecosystem around them. It's the systems around them that typically don't work for them or their kids. So found my way into operations, ed tech, and that had been my career before starting this business. So this is also me. I'm a mom now. I'm still hardworking. I read food labels. Food nutrition is really important. I'm a bit more anxious than I was before, but still love a chic cafe. But it's more complicated now. because this is my little one. She is a typical toddler. She's unpredictable. She sits still for very little time. She's a messy eater. She touches strangers. And she doesn't want to eat what I want her to eat. Um, and so when I was thinking about what sort of business I wanted to bring into the world, I was thinking through some of these questions. Why dining out with kids can be really challenging, or really why dining with kids can be challenging. And it includes things like kids are kids. Most spaces aren't really welcoming. Um, Kids don't necessarily like the foods that we like. And then what do parents want? They want convenience sometimes. They want healthy food. They want a stress-free environment. And they want to diversify. I want to double click on this. They want to diversify what's considered kid-friendly food. So this was really important to me as someone who is a first generation American, Afro-Latina from Panama. My family is by way of the Caribbean, by way of Africa. Our foodways are really important to us as they are with many people from many cultures. But when you look at food that is typically made for children and marketed to children, it's very Eurocentric. It takes one sort of viewpoint, and it doesn't allow parents who have their roots firmly set in America to also have convenience foods that also incorporate their heritage or ancestral foods. So if many of us feel this way, why doesn't someone do something about it? And that is why a little bit of background and why I started the Little Cocoa Bean Co. So who are we? We're a wellness brand, and we're on a mission to increase childhood consumption of nutritious food. So the way that we do that is we've created what we call a third place for parents. If some of you are familiar with Howard Schultz, the founder of Starbucks, he talks about Starbucks being a third place. The concept didn't start with him, but he really sort of popularized it. And it's the idea that first place is typically home. It's a home setting. Second place for people is typically their workplace. As individuals, we're often seeking out this third place, which is a space that where we feel seen, we feel understood, we feel like it's made for us. We build community around this third place. So it could be your church, it could be a yoga studio in your neighborhood, it could be a community center, etc. But what I found was that there aren't a lot of third places for parents specifically that want to exist there with their children without all of the pressure surrounding food and feeding with their children. And that really sort of like understands what they need when they're out and about with their kids. So we've created that sort of community space, and we really believe that it is a community space. That space is made available to nonprofits in our area, absolutely free of charge. This space is where we host classes and courses, everything from weaning to cooking classes for the entire family, multi-generational cooking classes where we talk about food, we talk about heritage, and how really we share love and experiences through sharing food. And then the second part of what we do is we make food for children healthy, convenient, and fun. So we like to create foods that kids really like to eat, but the healthier version of those foods. So take, for example, and the version, by the way, that incorporates these heritage ingredients. We're not trying to mimic heritage recipes, but we're really trying to center foods from around the globe that may be staples in different people's household, depending on where they come from. So if you take something like a tater tot, we know children, for whatever reason, enjoy eating tater tots, or they might enjoy eating waffles or pancakes or pizza, whatever it is that we know they like eating, and it's sort of an easy food for them. We think really hard about how to make that food healthier and how do we incorporate heritage ingredients. So we would take something like a tater tot, and instead of using sort of your standard potato, we would actually use cassava, and we would boil, grate or mash the cassava. We would fold in additional vegetables that might be cauliflower, that might be broccoli, that might be sort of some sort of microgreen. We would season it. Seasoning is so important in our food. We laugh all the time. Parents are like, I don't know why my kid eats so well at this cafe and won't eat at home. And we always joke, we're like, listen, we put a lot of love into the food. We don't just treat it as like kids don't deserve to have flavorful food. We really kind of lean into like if they are tiny little adults, like what are their taste buds interested in trying, and let's really treat them as sort of our honored guests and make their food really interesting and fun and delicious. And so we make healthy convenient foods, but we make them fun because these are kids, they're little, and we make them healthier because that's really what their parents want. So if for some of you, you haven't actually been to our space, this is a rendering of the cafe that we built and opened in Jamaica Plain. Um, if you follow us, meaning if you follow us currently or plan to follow us in the future, we have some exciting news coming up here in the next week about where else you'll be able to find us in
Oh,
so this is just kind of a look at our space. We built a Montessori sort of inspired play space inside because again, children are children. They don't sit perfectly still at a dinner table and they don't need to. They're explorers. And we wanted to build a space where they felt welcome and seen, where their parents feel welcomed and seen. Your child spills something, we don't expect a ton of apologies for it. If your child wants to eat while they play, if you're comfortable with that, we're comfortable with that. So we really sort of we're developing our own brand of hospitality that really centers families. And we create spaces that support sort of what we believe and what we believe should exist in the world. Here are some pictures of the actual space and some of the things that you can see inside of our space. Just an interesting look at sort of what we offer. It is a community gathering space. We host private celebrations and practitioner-led classes. We have stroller parking. We supply parents with diapering supplies, bibs, feminine hygiene supplies. All of that we believe should be free and accessible. We offer classes like chiropractic and pregnancy and how do you relieve pain in pregnancy. We offer classes like lactation. You know, if you're having feeding challenges, and not just breastfeeding challenges, but just feeding challenges, we have nurse-led classes that happen in the space. We host birthday parties. We have a full changing table with free diapers and wipes. And we're not monitoring how many you use or take. If you need them, take them. And we have a really active, loving community that surrounds us and continues to, we buy our own supplies, but then our community is also like, hey, my baby outgrew these diapers. Can you use them in your bathroom? And we're never out of things like these supplies. Depending on the time of year, we do this less so during sort of like our slower months, which happen to be kind of like late summer, early fall. But we have teens that we hire to offer babysitting services. So one of the things we recognize is that sometimes caregivers come into our space because they need a place to work, and they need a place to work where their child will have something kind of like new and interesting and entertaining to do while they work. And so we hire teens to play with your child in the play space while you're able to get work done. We've seen evaluations happen in that space. I mean, any number of things that you can need to get done. We're a kid-friendly, family-friendly space, and you can do it from there. Here's a look at some of our food options. When I talked about making food fun, you can find everything from colorful waffles on our menu. We call these our rainbow waffles. They're rainbow colored not because we use artificial dyes, but because we use food dyes. That green is derived from a dehydrated spinach powder. The pink is dragon fruit, beet, strawberry, depends on when you come in. The blue is a butterfly pea flower powder. It's also a blueberry powder, and we also have used acai and blackberry. So we believe in colorful foods. This yogurt here, we had a bluey special day, and so the kids got blue yogurt, but this is just a Greek yogurt, sweetened slightly with agave, and then we turn it blue by using fruit powders. So again, it's just this idea that like food doesn't have to be boring if it's healthy. And when it's fun, it doesn't have to be unhealthy. So we're just trying to bridge that gap a little bit. Um, yeah, this is a little bit more of the benefits. Like families are more diverse than ever, and parents are really selective. So we're trying to create a space that incorporates those diverse set of ingredients, but also feeding kids foods that parents don't have to feel really guilty about. Here's just a quick look at some of our reviews, some of the public opinion, and some of our partnerships. So this business was started as what I call a social enterprise. I'd always imagined that it would be a full-fledged nonprofit, but one of the things I realized when examining the model was that I believe very strongly that kids and families deserve healthy food. They deserve nutritious food that represents their cultures. But depending on the year, the administration, competing priorities, your food initiative may be popular one year and less so the next year. And I didn't want to build a model that was dependent on someone always valuing what we were bringing to the table in order to generate revenue and make it a sustainable business. So I started it as a social enterprise. We generate our own revenue through our food sales, through some of our partnerships with schools, et cetera. But we do a lot of partnering with organizations in the community where we give back in-kind donations, monetary donations, making our space available to them, et cetera. So that is who we are. I will stop sharing now. And oh yeah, I think
Sure, I can. Well, first, we often say that the 9:30 call provides the motivation and inspiration that we didn't know that we needed. And I think that is certainly true today. We had over 70 people kind of at the height. Lauren Cook is welcomed you. She texted me this morning to say how excited she was that you were on the call. She's at a doctor's appointment with her daughter calling in on her phone. This is amazing. This is so cool. Monday morning inspiration. Kim Lucas adds, it's fantastic that you provide resources that are free and also allow people to show up without charge. One of the big issues with third spaces right now is there are very few, mostly public library community centers that don't require someone to pay for something to hang out and be in community.
exactly. Exactly. And we don't think that should be a barrier to accessing the space. Like there are times where people come in, whether it's a caregiver or an actual parent, and they don't pay for things. And we don't make them feel unwelcome because of that. One of the things that's really important and we believe is really important as an organization is empathy. Really understanding that all of us are coming in with whatever we're coming in with, and like our world will be a better place not just for kids and families but for all of us if we operate with empathy. We really try to see people and wrap arms around people. So if you can't pay for your food and you want food, we've got you. If you just need a space to hang out, we've got you. And we have plenty of people that can pay for the food and can pay for their experience, and they do. And they tip well, and they buy presents, and they recommend us to people. It all comes out in the wash. So the last thing I'm going to do is shame a parent or a caregiver for needing to access our space without a method to pay for it.
Right. Ashley wonders, can you talk a little bit more about how you partner with schools and other organizations?
Sure. So one of the first things that we did when we opened was we just made our space available. So we have a number of community-based organizations and nonprofits that use our space for their classes and courses. Everyone from Melanin Mass Moms, Boston Naps was hosting their feeding and breastfeeding workshops there. We've had policymakers in the space talking to the community about the work that they do. So anyone who reaches out, as long as there's no conflict with sort of our business hours, or even if there is, but we think that if it's open to the public and we think it could be beneficial to our customers, we make the space available to anyone who needs it. And then in terms of our partnerships with schools, so we've always provided meals and meal service through our advocacy work, primarily with the city of Boston. But we haven't done actual school meal service until this year. So Lauren Cook, welcome. Thank you for thinking of us. Reached out and was like, how can we dream big about food? And what we can make available to kids and families. And we put some things down on paper. We were dreaming big. We were thinking through like, how do we make food fun? How do we make it colorful? How do we make it veggie forward? And we've had along the way, what we found is we can dream big. We have to bring people along with us as we do that. So there's a lot of communication that has to happen within the school environment to parents, et cetera, et cetera. But we were really excited about what we've been able to do. And then coming up here in the new year, hi, Michelle, I see you. We will be providing breakfast at Little Amigos. So I've always said, that I think this company will be successful when every parent, no matter where, every parent, every caregiver, no matter where they are feeding their child. So think the playground, the park, the library, at your hospital, at your local museum, at your child's school. We believe that every parent, every caregiver should have access to a healthy option. It may not be the option you choose in that moment because maybe your child just wants that Oreo that day, and that's okay too. But we believe that there is power and empowerment that comes with choice. And so at some point, God willing, we will be everywhere. If we're your kids at the park, we might have a little mobile vehicle that comes by behind the ice cream man and offers you an option that is just fruit and veggie based, but that tastes amazing and that your kids won't know, they won't know they're not getting, sugar syrup. And we hope that one day when you're at your public library or your doctor's office, there will be a vending machine or a little fridge where you can grab food from. So we hope to be everywhere that kids are eating.
And what are your top selling food items?
Yeah. So it's all kid led, but I will tell you those rainbow waffles
I'm sure.
fly off the shelves. The kids are obsessed with the rainbow waffles, and consequently, it will be our first packaged food, like commercially packaged item that we sell on shelves. So just so you know, it is in gluten-free oat flour that we use and primarily everything's organic, but a gluten-free oat flour. We use coconut sugar, so no refined sugars, no white sugars. We use no seed oils in that recipe. And again, it's colorful because it is we use fruit and veggie dyes. So we just feel like it's something that parents, my kids eat some sort of like frozen pastry every day, and it's not unlike most parents, like something you can quickly give them.
Right.
Like I want to take the guilt out of it. I want to know that it's like it's not filled with junk. So coming soon here, we will have that available for purchase.
And then just there's kind of more in the chat. I brought my kids to the Tot Cafe in JP. It was awesome. Brian Gold said, I have too. It's how we celebrated Mira's first birthday. We all loved it. This is wonderful. Thank you. Excited for your good news. I would have gone here often when my kids were little. I nursed for a long time and was turned away and felt mocked. It's my culture to nurse for a long time.
Yeah, as you should.
I totally agree, not just because of nursing, although I'm sorry you had that experience, but also because I was so self-conscious about how my children behaved.
Hmm.
Lauren Cook says yes to the truck, go for it. Kim Davenport says, have there been challenges in your space? What would you advise others about this concept in their community?
Yeah, there have been challenges. And I think we are at the cusp of essentially resolving one of our main challenges, which has been a cafe concept is very, very expensive. Food margins across the food industry, margins on food are very slim, especially when you try to buy better for you products and sell better for you products.
Right,
And you're trying to balance that with equity. So we never want to be the place where like you are paying $20 for a meal to feed your 4 year,
right.
right? So we're like trying to balance buying better for you ingredients that are already more expensive and then pricing it at a point that it's accessible to many families. So that's really, really challenging. And then weekday foot traffic is slower. We're tucked into a community. And so it makes it challenging for others in, surrounding communities. We love JP. I live near, I'm in Raleigh, right next door. But if you are in parts of Dorchester, if you're in parts of Roxbury, if you're in parts of South Boston, Somerville, Cambridge, you can't get to us very easily. So that makes it challenging, and foot traffic during the week is slow. Now that we are doing these school meals, it's helped to bolster that weekday income, which is really nice, um,
Hmm.
in a way that makes the cafe model a bit more sustainable. Um, Hiring is a challenge. Oh my goodness, hiring is a challenge. We have a really strong weekend team, but weekday, when you start to look for someone who wants a handful of hours midweek,
Right.
your pool is just very, very, yeah, small. And so that has been a major challenge. Um, and those have been really kind of the main ones: hiring, making the cafe concept sustainable, because we want to be a space for families. We don't just want to create food. We want to do both: create food and create community around food. But having a brick and mortar space that relies on walk-in traffic um, is challenging if you're not in the right um sort of like nexus of like different intersection of different
Right.
communities.
Somebody adds, let us know when the rainbow waffles. I know a 13-year-old who would be very interested. And
Yeah,
then
well, coming soon.
Michelle adds, Little Amigos is really excited to offer this breakfast to our kiddos and staff starting in January. Tracy's a great partner to think through for kids with. Tracy, and I want to thank Danubia who connected us and knew that you'd be an amazing 9:30 call guest, and here you are. But Tracy, who like has inspired you? Like, what? Tell us a little bit more about like where does all that come from? This is an incredible vision. Your commitment and just even the way that you talk about this is infectious. But kind of who inspires you?
So I think about a lot of people, particularly people who I would call my ancestors, the people who came before me. When I think about this business and what I want to do in the world, I think about children. I've always had a heart for children and serving children from when I was very, very young. But I think about my great grandfather. So my great grandfather, Arturo Johnson, grew up in the Canal Zone in Panama. He was the child of Caribbean parents who had come to Panama to work on the Panama Canal. He built my great grandmother's home with his hands, like brick by brick. He built her home. And when he wasn't working on the canal zone, he was raising honeybees. So he was a honeybee farmer. And in our family, kind of the very first entrepreneur that we can think of in our family. He would jar his honey, he would sell his honey, kind of as his side hustle, as we would say now. And the thing about it is, we didn't inherit a dime from this business that he created. We aren't wealthy because of it. He doesn't have a big name because of it. But his great granddaughter, who has never met him, talks about a man that she has never met and never seen because he left us a legacy. He did something that no one else in our family had done, and it gave us something to talk about and to pass down as a legacy. And so when I think about this work, it's incredibly scary sometimes. I there are times where I don't know how we're going to make it. My family personally or the business, there are times when I'm like, what did I do? I had this cushy corporate job. But when like I'm able to kind of just sit with myself, one of the things I realize is this life is so short. It goes by so quickly. And I want to be another person in my family that does something that my great grandchildren can talk about, that actually leaves a legacy, that doesn't let fear stop me from doing some of the things that I want to do in this world. And so when I think about why I did this and why I continue to do this, it's he inspires me, and it's all the children coming after us and all the children that surround me that I want to inspire to take some really big leaps and to try some big things.
Tracy, I cannot thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that part of the story, and for sharing you and all that you have done to build community, and to support children and families. I've asked folks to continue to share some love and appreciation in the chat, and I'll make sure I send that to you. If
Okay.
you want to send me your slides, we did record today, so if you're watching the recording, I'm so glad that we did, and we'll share that with you as well. But just want to really thank you for joining us this morning and for this incredible commitment you have made. Hajai says he knows he's happy to know a toddler who can come to the cafe this weekend.
Bring them in, bring them in.
So I also added the link to chat, and folks were texting me saying they were already going through the website. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Janubia, for the connection. And thank you, 930 callers, for being here this morning. We will continue to see you this week. And Tracy, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
Thanks. Have a great day.